Hi, this is Cindy Shovely from the Web Seller Circle. Today we're going to talk about press releases and promoting press releases for your business. You know, many people think of press releases as the old-fashioned piece of paper that you send to a media source in the hopes of getting an interview by a press person, you know, somebody on the news or in the newspaper. But when it comes to the internet, that whole ballgame has changed. You know, on October 28, 1906, at least 50 people lost their lives when a three-car train jumped its trestle in Atlantic City, New Jersey. You know, that afternoon, Ivy Lee, who works with the Pennsylvania Railroad, convinced the railroad company to distribute a public statement, and they even provided, you know, a special train for reporters to get them to the accident. The New York Times was so impressed by this innovative approach to corporate communications that they printed that release verbatim on October 30th, 1906, and it was called A Statement of the Road. Well, things have kind of changed since then, but we still use that old-fashioned press release, and it's used for an entirely new medium, and that's the internet. And the reason why we want to use that is to build search engine optimization and SEO. Not only just getting out to the press, but to build our business as well. A properly written and formatted press release can build a website's search engine ranking. You know, and the bonus about press releases is that you don't need to be a techie. You know, as long as you can cut and paste, you can maximize a press release for your business. You know, there are so many reasons why you should write a press release. You know, one of the main reasons, or outstanding reasons, is that one release equals thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of views. And that is great viral marketing. There's backlinks. And when I talk about backlinks, that's links from other websites pointing to your website or your eBay store or your online presence, your blog. A backlink builds search engine optimization. And having a press release with those links linking to your store is a great way to build your Google ranking. And this is a relatively free or inexpensive way for you to build those backlinks. You can reach new audiences with a press release, you know, and even the possibility of an influencer. You know, maybe even a media reporter will do an interview with you, but more likely a guru in your field, and they'll want to talk to you or get their attention. And that's a great reason to have a press release, to get those kinds of people's attention. Press releases have staying power. You know, one press release written can stay out there for weeks, months, and years. Now, this can be, you know, on the internet in general, this can be, you know, a win-win situation because, you know, things stay on the internet forever. So just printing one press release, you've got this press release working for you over and over and over again. And then there's another little nuance to issuing a press release, and that is that press releases are much more credible than straight advertising. You know that our buyers are very cynical, but they're much less cynical when they read a press release than they are reading press advertising. So this is something that works really well for building our credibility. So I hope I've convinced you to sit down and write that press release. But I know everybody on the call is saying, but I don't know what to write about. I don't have anything to say. So let's take a quick look at a few of the business occurrences that are noteworthy that you can write a press release about. And Night for Charity is certainly a reason for a press release. You know, the media loves human interest stories, and a charity auction definitely falls into that category. When you start a new online business or a new selling platform or start a blog, this is a good reason to write a press release. Even adding new products or a new inventory next to your existing store is a very good reason to write a press release. Of course, special events for your business are always noteworthy. Now, a lot of us just sell online, so we're not going to have physical open houses. But if you do have a bricks and mortar store, you know, having an open house is a good reason to have a press release. Public speaking events. If you're teaching a class locally, then write a press release. If you're giving a webinar, then a press release is another tool to get the information out there. You better believe that every time I do one of these Success with Cindy series, press releases go out about it so that I can reach new audiences. Of course, awards are another great thing to write about whenever you or your business win awards. And I want to, just take a quick aside here and give you all some advice. Now, you probably all have heard of your local mayor's small business awards or the Chamber of Commerce business awards. Well, I don't want you to wait for somebody else to nominate you for those awards. You should be out there nominating yourself. These awards are created for this sort of opportunity, press releases and getting the word out about your business. Nobody's gonna, it's very rare that somebody's gonna nominate you for this award. It's up to you to nominate yourself. So if you hear about the Mayor's Small Business Award, get out there and nominate yourself for that award so that you can write a press release about it when you win that award. Contests and special promotions, these are great reasons to write press releases. Every blogger out there loves to talk about contests. It's a great way to, put information on their blog. So not only is it good for, the traditional media, but you're helping bloggers in your niche to write their blog posts. So, contests are great things to write about. In fact, any kind of special promotion that your business is having. New partnerships or alliances with other companies is another great reason to issue a press release. I'm talking to Clay at Yodio. They have that little player that you put pictures with, and then you can call in on the phone and talk about those photos. And it makes a nice little presentation. Well, he has just recently released what's called an overlay. And what that does is it's a little piece of code that fits right into a website. Anybody can put it into. And when anybody lands on that website, it pops up automatically and auto plays so that, there's audio and visual going on. It also gives a link to a, more information page. This is going to be great for internet marketers, and I'm really excited about it. And once Clay and I get all the partnership details worked out, you better believe that a press release is going to go out about Clay and Yodio and Clover City's new alliance. So those kind of new alliances are great reasons to write a press release. Take a survey. Use a company like Free SurveyMonkey. It's called SurveyMonkey.com. There are other free online polling services as well. Poll your customers. Ask them questions about your product or about your service or about, anything that relates to your business, and then issue a press release with the results of that poll. statistics are great for press releases. So now that you have some ideas of what to write about, let's take a specific look at the how to write a compelling press release. A couple of the biggest mistakes that press release writers make is, first, they do no hook. So remember, when you're writing this press release, to always answer the question, what's in it for me? WIIFM. What's in it for the reader? If it's the press, what's in it for them? If it's a new client, what's in it for them? So try to think about the hook and how you can hook your readers in. And then the other really, really big mistake that people make is no call to action. So at the end of the release or during the release, you want to remind the reader to take some sort of action. If it's focused towards the media, send them to a special media page where they can get more information or possibly more photos or contact you. If it's prospects that you're after, send them to your website or to a special website landing page where you can answer questions or gather their information. So always put in a call to action in your press release. Now, let's start putting this together for writing a compelling headline. The first thing you want to do is to write, something that's going to attract attention. Now, marketers have found that train wreck kind of headlines work really well, like "oops" or "oh, I made a mistake." Those kind of headlines are very compelling. We're all like accident junkies. In fact, while I was looking through press releases to, gather information and material about this presentation, I saw this great press release headline, and I had to click on it. It was, "Google's new search could be fatal for online business." I had to look at it. I had to find out what that press release was about. So if you can, think of something that's compelling like that, that's great. But most of us aren't really that creative, and we can't come up with those headlines. So don't knock yourself out here. The old standards work as well. Fact-based headlines, or even how to do something. How to is always a really compelling headline for your readers. And one thing I want to mention here is that if you're targeting the press, one thing that will target you as a amateur is putting exclamation points in this headline. A real press person will not open your press release if they see exclamation points. They just think it's tacky and they won't do it. So write a compelling headline, no exclamation marks. Now, this may actually be something you write last, but it should come right after the headline, and that is a 2 or 3 sentence overview of the press release. Now remember that if you're targeting press, or even bloggers or anybody else, most people are time starved, so they want a real quick overview of what this press release is about, so they can make a judgment about whether or not they want to continue reading the body of the press release. This 2 or 3 sentence overview is also great material for bloggers or other people who are writing online. They may just cut and paste it into, an article that they're writing. So you want to make this stealable because you want to get the word out. Now you want to write the body copy. Now there's a couple of elements that you want to put into that body copy. One of them is a quote or a testimonial. If you're hoping for journalists to copy this press release or take action on it, I can tell you that journalists are more likely to use a direct quote than anything else in your press release. So having a quote or a testimonial in your press release is very, very important. Then be sure to add a call to action. And if possible, add some statistics as well. People love those kind of fact-based statistics, so put them in there if you have them. If not, maybe, do some surveying and find some statistics to put in there. Then you want to put in a bio or an about your product. More information about that product, or if you're, selling a service or you're a person, then it would be a personal bio. And again, make sure it's fact-based and not a bunch of puffery. Press are cynical, and they're going to read right through that if it's not really fact-based. Now, I talked a little bit about optimization. It would be really, really fantastic if the outcome of your press release was, getting released in the press. You got an interview with a reporter, and you got, printed in the newspaper, or you got on TV, or even a radio spot. But most likely, it might not happen, but it is not all is not lost. What you want to do is make sure that you optimize this press release to build that search engine optimization and help people find your eBay store or your website or your blog. So again, what you want to do is focus that press release on keywords. Janelle has spent a lot of time teaching us about how to find keywords, and here is another use for those keywords. So plug them in, especially the headlines. You start your headline with a good keyword-rich title or headline, just like you would your eBay store. Now, continue using those keywords in the body, in the summary, and in the body copy. Now, use what are called long tail keywords as well, and that would be, phrases that people use when they are looking for that particular, an answer to that particular question. And then, other keywords that might not be quite as strong as your main keywords, but also complement that, what you're talking about. So how many keywords should you put into a press release? Well, what you want to try for is it's referred to as keyword density, and your keyword density should be around 6%. In other words, about 6 keywords per 100 words. Now, if you can't, I don't want you to stuff keywords into this press release. You want to be sure to balance your keyword density with readability. So always, in this case, always put your reader first. If it doesn't make sense in a sentence, then, with those keywords, then drop that keyword out and try to use it somewhere else. So what we do first is we want to be readable here, but we don't want to forget our keywords, because our keywords will help point us back, or point the search engines and spiders back towards our, where we're trying to send them, our eBay store, our website, our blog, or wherever it is that we're intending our readers to go to. Now, write for your potential customers, answer their needs, and try not to focus the attention quite so much on yourself. This is not a pitch. Remember that readers are going to find, or they're going to respond better to interesting information over promotional pushes. So put your readers in front of your own promotion. Offer tips. In a press release, it's perfectly okay to, offer useful tips. Like 5 ways to improve your auction photos, if I was writing a press release about my book, Easy Auction Photography. And then I just have 5 different tips. This is great information. It's stealable information, and when it tends to get stolen, you tend to get a link back on a blog, or, hopefully in that press, focusing on the press. So try to remember that while this is promoting your business, you don't want to be overly promotional or pushy in the press release. especially if you're targeting the press, because press are about 100 times more cynical than your normal customer is. Now, there are ways to make your press release more interesting. Add visuals. A lot of press release companies or services will allow you to add photos. So, add a photo. Now, I see a lot of press releases that have their company logo instead of a photo. It's great to get your branding out there, but what you're trying to do is get information out about something or an event. So having a photo of the event or the product is much more compelling than your logo. So, before and after photos, if you've got a product that improves something, those kind of photos are much more interesting. Now, some of the release service companies now are offering you to be able to embed videos and audio into these press releases as well. So if you can, upload a YouTube video and embed it into the press release as well. Now, if you can't do that, you can always send them to a landing page or a website or a blog that has that audio or video for more information. So there is that alternative as well. And then finally, to wrap up the press release, what you want to do is put your name, your website URL, of course, where you're trying to direct that traffic to. If you have a physical location, if you have a store, then of course you would want to put your physical location or your physical address there as well. If not, you may want to put in a PO box or some kind of address where a potential reporter could contact you if they decide to use snail mail. Probably not. It's not as important as it used to be, but you should have some way to contact them. And the more ways you have for somebody who's interested, the better. And a phone number. Now, a phone number, I would say, is even more important than a physical location. Because if you're going to capture a real reporter's interest, I can tell you right now they're on a deadline, and they're more likely to pick up the phone and call you right away than they are to, send you an email even. It depends on, how time-starved they are. So if you're squeamish about, putting your personal phone number out on the internet for everybody to see, well, there are a lot of VoIP services out there. Skype comes to mind. You can get a Skype number and use that as your contact phone number. But, having a phone number, I believe, will be, a very, very big importance. What I'm trying to say is, it's very important for you to have that phone number for somebody to contact you on this press release, even though it's going to be public and out on the internet. And then finally, the old tradition is the hashtags. A reporter wants to see these hashtags at the bottom, knowing that you're finished with your press release. Put them down there at the very bottom. The reporter knows it's all over. This is where they end cutting and pasting. It's an old tradition, and it should be, it's one of the things that carries over even onto the internet. So do be sure and put those little pound signs or hash marks down at the very end of your press release so they know not to go any further. So some final thoughts about your press release before I bring Janelle back on and see if we've got questions. Make your press release as shareable as possible. You are writing this to be stolen, to be used. So, make your photos the best quality photos they can be. Even if that means hiring a professional photographer, your best foot forward is very important. Make those videos the best they can be. Read and reread your copy several times before you hit the submit button. And if you're not a very, good writer and it's not one of your better claims to fame, maybe hiring somebody else to do it as well. That there are places like elance.com where you can hire somebody to, write it for you. Look on Craigslist, or even local networking sites, internet networking sites that are popping up all over the place now. Janelle and I earlier this week were talking about one called Jobbana.com, and I'm pretty sure that you're going to hear more about that as Janelle and I learn more about it. So look at these kind of different networking sites because there are always copywriters for hire. Having this copy as professional as possible is going to be very important. I can tell you that, not only are journalists a bit cynical, they're also a bit snobbish about English. So if you can't write good English, you're probably going to, hit the trash can really fast if you're not writing, eloquently enough for that press journalist. So if your aim for this press release is to actually capture that media attention, make sure it's written as well as possible. And then finally, write or create a Google alert about this press release because you want to measure the effectiveness and see where it's going. If it's going out to the bloggers, finding out that it's on a blog is great because then you can go comment on that blog. If it got dug, well, you'd want to, put another dig on there, put your vote in that it was the best press release ever as well. So you want to measure the effectiveness, and a very easy way to do that is with a Google alert. So, watch and measure, and, you'll get a lot of feedback, and for the next press release, you'll be able to do an even better job than the first one. So finally, I'm going to ask Janelle to come back on, but while we're waiting for Janelle to come back on and see if we have questions, I want to tell you about Web Seller Circle. I have a list of 25 places that you could submit your press release to online for free. And if you want to go to the websellercircle.com, this is my ethical bribe for the day. I need you to, I want you to sign up for my newsletter list. And once you sign up for my newsletter, I promise I'm not going to share that information. But if you sign up for my newsletter, I will give you access to a free membership area where I've got this press release information for you. We'll have this video up so you can review it. And we also have several free ebooks and some other videos and some other information. The site is growing, so you'll want to check back more frequently. So all callers are unmuted. That's what I have to say. Janelle, are you back?
Yes, hold on to me for just a second.
Okay. All callers are unmuted. All callers are muted.
All right, great job, Cindy.
Oh, thank you.
Lots of great information. I can't ask you questions. I got to go to Web Seller Circle right now and sign up. Sorry. Bye. Okay, we did have some questions come in.
Okay.
One of the questions that came in is when you write a press release, how long should it be? Should it be one paragraph? Should it be a whole page?
It's as long as it needs to be. Now, for traditional press releases, a press release that was on a piece of paper that you're going to send to the press, the traditional method or thought was about one piece of paper long, one page. Now, with a press release that is going to be an online press release, there is not quite so much pressure for that kind of link. So as long as it needs to be is how long it should be. But, you don't want to go overboard because, people are attention starved. And, if it's like 10 pages long, they're probably not going to read through the whole thing.
And those reporters are so swamped with information. They've got just a couple seconds to make a decision, right?
Right. And that's why that 2 or 3 sentence blurb at the top about what your press release is about is so very important.
Perfect. How often should you send out press releases?
If you wanted to, every day. Anytime that something unusual happens with your business, it's a good reason to send out a press release. If I had more time, I would certainly be sending out more of them. You said that journalists are definitely swamped for information, and these fly across their desk like crazy. But my main focus for a press release these days is to build search engine optimization and get it out on the internet. So I'm not going to worry so much about overdoing it.
I really like the part where you were talking about what should happen for you to send out a press release, because I think too often small to medium-sized sellers don't think they have anything to shout about, but they have lots to shout about, right?
Absolutely. There's lots of things that happen in your business that you can talk about.
And with the economy, people are always looking for fascinating stories on eBay. And I would say almost everybody on this call is fascinating. So
you bet, yeah. And people were, when John McCain was talking about, about being on eBay to supplement your income during the election cycle, the press was all over that. They were looking for eBayers to talk to. So having a press release out there that about eBay, that you're an eBay seller, they would be looking for that kind of information, because journalists come online now. This is where they find their information as well. So when they have a story to do, they're going to start doing the Google and the Yahoo and the MSN searches.
And I know both you and I have been contacted by reporters simply because of the information we put up online, correct?
Yes, you bet.
Now, one of the things a reporter told me once is, we may not use your press releases ever, but we know you as an expert because of the consistency of press releases that come in, and we know who to go to in crunch time. Would you agree with that?
You know it, yes. Excellent point, Janelle. It's very true. You get a resume built with those journalists, and when they do need to come to somebody, they're going to come to you if they see that your name is constantly being out in front of them.
Awesome. We had an excellent question that came in. We've been working with the Rockstars really hard on automating their business, being owners and not worker bees. So I was really glad this question came in. And they wanted to know, if they don't want to write the press release, who could they turn to find a good writer?
I would look. I would look at places like Elance.com. I would look at Craigslist.com. Look in their help wanted not their help wanted, but their professional services. If you don't find somebody who's talking about doing professional writing, put in a help wanted or a wanted area in the creative, part of Craigslist. Say, I'm looking for somebody who will write press releases for me. There are lots and lots of local business networking sites that are popping up on the internet. So do a search, a Google search for your area, and networking site comes up. Contact your Chamber of Commerce. If you want to do it the old-fashioned way, find out from them who's a professional copywriter, and those are some of the places I check out.
Now, Cindy had also mentioned that we're talking to a new company, brand new, fresh into beta, called Jobvana.com. J-O-B, like get a job. Vana, V-A-N-A, like Nirvana. They started in Seattle, so I'm sure that's where that came from. I'll have to ask Nathan. But they're just starting, and people put their profiles up, and I know they have copywriters on Jobvana. So that may be, because it doesn't have to be somebody in your backyard. It can be a virtual assistant.
You bet.
Oh, it's funny. Deb just wrote in and says you can use a virtual assistant. Yeah, so look for one in, I have one in Malaysia, who I love. So it doesn't have to be somebody here in, say, Seattle, where Cindy and I are.
Yeah, but I would ask them to send a sample of their writing before you just hire them.
Definitely.
Make sure that when you hire, and I'm not talking about just somebody in Malaysia. I am talking about somebody in the United States. Make sure that they back up their claim that they're a good writer. So ask them for their resume or some samples at least.
I agree with that, definitely. And that's why I like Elance and Jobana, because they come based upon recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
They're like feedback,
Yeah.
as we're so used to on eBay. What would you say, Cindy, is the total cost or any cost that would be associated with writing a press release?
The actual cash out of pocket can be zero.
Okay.
But don't think that means there's no cost to it. You always, you've taught us to know, there's always a price tag. So your cost is your time and, how much your time is worth. So do consider that.
Excellent point. And can you give an example of just kind of a ballpark idea? If we use one of the services that submits the press releases for us, like PR Web that many of us use, kind of a ballpark idea, if we use a service, how much we would be expecting to kind of pay for something like that?
Gosh, PR Web, they have several different tiers of press release. And what we're talking about is somebody who's, you submit the press release once, and then they blanket it out for you instead of going to each site individually to to submit your press release yourself. And I think their packages vary from 100 for a one-time blanket to up into a couple thousand if you're going to do it regularly. So they do have different packages.
Well, and if you use a service like Ina's EcomWire.com, it's completely free.
It's completely free, and I use Ina's, and that's one of the 25 places on the Web Seller Circle that I use. She's the first place I go to put my press releases up.
Excellent point. Now, Carol asked a really great question. Carol's had all sorts of great questions coming in this year. She says, what's a ballpark range to pay for a press release if you have it written? And I'll let you answer, and then I'll tell you what I've paid for mine.
Gosh, I don't know a ballpark. 25 to a couple hundred if you're going to have somebody else write it. It depends on how many times, how many contracts you can get, and how good a wheeling dealer you are. How about you, Jill?
About the same. In Elance, I found that if you would hire somebody consistently, to put out 1 or 2 press releases a month, and you kind of turn over to them your keywords or keyword phrases you want to use in the press release, you can get them for $25 to $50 a month.
Right.
If you're hiring one of those big corporate firms, that's when you start getting some big money. But
yeah.
They're also going to get you possibly on Good Morning America. So you have to kind of balance that out.
Yeah, pay for placement.
Exactly. So I think that's a really great statement. Now, a question came in, and we're not going to be able to actually do it on air, but I'm going to ask Cindy a request if she'll put it up on her Web Seller Circle site. Dave wanted to know if you can show an example of a press release that you've published. So can I ask you a favor to put that up on Web Seller Circle so that they can see an example?
Sure.
I don't want Cindy to have to go tracing through her computer in the middle of a web.
Yeah, actually, I have a new computer. I have a confession to make. This is a brand new computer. My old computer is, slowly hitting, on its last legs. And so this is my new computer that I'm using today, and no documents on it. So I really couldn't pull one up physically if we wanted to, but I will put one up on the Web Seller Circle so they can take a look.
We did get a couple questions in, and maybe some other of you can try this out for me, that they were having a hard time getting into that link. I'm not sure if they were using a different browser, perhaps, or something. So if some of you guys could test that link for me and let me know what the Web Seller Circle, because we want to make sure you can get your 25 places to submit your press releases.
Right.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Now it is. If you're having problems, once you get into the Web Seller Circle, remember that it is case sensitive, and the password and the username is case sensitive, and it's lowercase.
Okay. They just said that they couldn't get into the actual links, Web Seller Circle.
Web Seller Circle? Oh my goodness.
You know, what I'm thinking is probably happening is everybody on the call is hitting it all at the same time, and it's just, well. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what's happening. Kat just wrote, she says, I'm in, but it's slow. So you're just popular right now. That's all it is. With so many great resources on Web Seller Circle, I can't imagine why you wouldn't experience this all the time. So Kat says it's a good thing. What are you, Martha Stewart now? Doesn't she say that? Kat,
well, thank you, Kat.
Any last words of advice for people thinking about writing press releases, or any success steps, homework that they should be doing?
You know, my word of advice is it comes back to thinking that you don't have anything to say about your business. There's always there's always an angle, and there's always something that you can talk about your business. And even if it's as simple as bringing in a new line of inventory. You know, that's a pretty big step for you, and it's noteworthy. So don't think that you don't have anything to write about. You know, there are lots of things that happen in your business that are notable. And, you know, the other thing is that, you know, the shy person, or that saying about the meek shall inherit the earth, well, not necessarily when it comes to the press. You really do have to be out there. You have to keep jumping up and shouting and waving your arms, saying, me, me, me. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to succeed in business, you got to get past that shyness.
Awesome. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for coming on the show and teaching us about press releases. I always love it when you come on. I learn things that I'm supposed to be doing in my business. Those on my to-do list.
We all learn so much from you, Janelle, and thank you.
If they want to get more information, can you tell them again how they do that?
Go to the Web Seller Circle at www.websellercircle.com. And if you look up on the top right-hand side, there's an invitation to join our membership site. It's free. All you have to do is give us your email address, and we will send you the password and a login name. You come and join us.
Excellent. All right. Do you want to sign off, or you want me to sign off?
You know, you're excellent. You're the expert at it. Go for it.
Thanks again, Cindy. Thank you, everyone on this call, for choosing success, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye, Cindy.
Bye.